Hello, and welcome to A VO's Journey. My name is Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. It's good to be coming back to you today. It is Thursday, November 12th, and yes, I'm in the booth. We are going to be doing a fun read today. We're going to be talking about pauses and elongating your words. And this whole show today is just some voice acting tips for you to, increase your ability to give some different expressiveness means throughout your reads, okay? So I put up a practice script here that I wrote. It's a Chevrolet spot. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a couple of words. I'm going to read this through. And then I'm going to pick a couple of places to practice pausing before or after the word, or elongating the word. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this through once, and then we're going to go back through. Okay. Here we go. When you choose Silverado, you can expect legendary capability. In fact, make that legendary dependability and durability too. Because when your truck comes from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road, you can bet it works as hard as you do. Silverado HD, the most powerful tool you'll own. Okay, so I went ahead and just did a read right there, okay, and I just did it right off the cuff. I didn't, do any specific pauses or elongating words that I didn't just naturally do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead in here and I'm going to say, when you choose a Silverado, you can expect, and I'm going to make a pause right there before legendary. So the idea is that legendary, okay, that's a good word to emphasize, to, I want to add some extra expressiveness to it. So by pausing before that word, all right, it's going to give me an extra expressiveness. So let's go ahead and try just that sentence. When you choose Silverado, you can expect legendary capability. All right, you see how I paused right before that? I might have paused a little extra to show you, but you see how that gave you can expect legendary capability. Now, you might ask, all right, Anthony, well, why does that give it expressiveness? Because it builds psychological tension. A lot of us, I think, are afraid to pause when we're reading. Now, I have met people who pause too much, okay? But if you pause on purpose, it can increase, right, that tension. You're like, why are we pausing? It's like, you know what I mean? I'm waiting for it. So that next word, all right, is going to be important. All right. Or, right, when you pause afterward, like for example, if we have a comma right here, so we know we want to pause after Silverado. But if there wasn't a comma there, right, that still is a place to pause. So that's why we pause there. When you choose a Silverado, we pause there because that's a thought and that's an idea. Silverado, after pausing after a word also adds expressiveness to that word. All right. So the pauses are a great place. All right, let's look. In fact, make that legendary dependability and durability too. So, let's say, in fact, make that legendary dependability and durability too. I think that this one, is pretty set with that pause right there. Because when your truck comes from the family of the most dependable, longest lasting, okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to pause at longest lasting. Because I think if we pause there, in my mind, I'm pausing too for the video, right? Because I think there's probably going to be some stuff going on there. So let's see. Because when your truck comes from the family of the most dependable, longest lasting, full-size pickups on the road. Now, I don't know. I might not actually like that. So maybe if I pause after pickups, let's see that. Because when your family comes from the because when your truck comes from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road, you'll bet. There you go. You can bet. So actually, I don't like pausing anywhere but where that comma is. But on bet, I bet right here, that would be a great place to pause. You can bet it works as hard as you do. So that's a great place to pause after you can bet. So by pausing there after bet, right, that added extra expressiveness to that word. You can bet it works as hard as you do. Okay. So, and then down here, Silverado HD, the most powerful tool. So we want to pause after tool to give this idea that tool, all right, is important. So Silverado HD, the most powerful tool you'll own. All right. So there's, and you could even say the most powerful. I think pausing after tool is great. So there's that when we're talking about pauses. And you can go through a script and do what I just did. Say, hey, does a pause work here? What words do I want to focus on to bring out? Now, when we talk about elongating words, so here we go. So let's elongate legendary. All right. So I'm going to elongate a legendary. So let me do it without elongating it, and then I'm going to elongate it and see if you can hear the difference. When you choose a Silverado, you can expect legendary capability. All right, so that was just me saying it normal. But let's say I do it by elongating it. When you choose a Silverado, you can expect legendary capability. All right, down, do you notice how legendary was elongated a little bit? Legendary capability, right? We get that legendary dragged out a little bit. All right, now let's go back to... let's try dependability and durability too. We're going to elongate those words. So first off, without elongating them, in fact, make that legendary dependability and durability too. Now I'm going to go ahead and elongate them. In fact, make that legendary dependability and durability too. Okay, so that was just me elongating those words. It sounds different and interesting, okay? Again, this is not I'm not attempting to do this to show you, well, that's how I would do it, that's how I wouldn't do it. But this is a way for us to look at the script and say, okay, hey, these are some things that I can do to add expressiveness in places. All right? Now, let's go ahead and take truck and elongate that. All right? So, all right, here we go. Because when your truck comes from the family of the most dependable. So that was interesting, right? So instead of pausing at their truck, right? Because I could have said, because when your truck, I could have paused there, right, which would have gave it a good expressiveness too. But by dragging it out, all right, it gives the whole thing, because when your truck comes from the family, all right, or when your truck. Now, here's a little tip. When you're dragging things out or you're elongating things, vowels are your friends. Because when your truck comes from the family of the most dependable, right, so that's an interesting way to do it as well. All right. But I think back if we go, let's see, the family of the most dependable. I think that's a great one. Dependable, longest lasting, full size pickups on the road. You can elongate those. All right. And then down here, this is a good one. Silverado HD, the most powerful tool you'll own. Right? So it's almost elongating those words in Silverado HD, tool, right? It gives it, again, some added expressiveness. I don't know if this particular piece would be a piece that I would elongate. More, I think the pauses, because it is a short commercial script, works very well. But I just wanted to show you what it would be like to elongate some of these words too, and how you can use this exercise to help as well. When I do another video, I'm going to be bringing in some other different types of practice expressiveness means that we're going to use for another script, and see how that turns out later on. But hopefully this was interesting for you to hear and kind of give you some ideas of how to add some different expressiveness to your reads. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.